Trekkies and Trekkies. Welcome to this amazing Star Trek podcast on Trek Tuesday. I'm your host Orinda, and together with my lovely co-host Amanda Hopper, we recap every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek TNG. All the episodes we'll be recapping in chronically following. We will approach each episode with humor and a feminine look. Today we recap the episode Elementary, Dear Data. Well guys, let's phone Amanda again. Hello Amanda.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. The weather's getting colder. We're into September, and today is September 6th, which is my dad's birthday. He turned 69 today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, I got him a $10 Tim Hortons card.
Nice. Today we're going to have a data episode. And I must say, I really love this episode. I even liked Pulaski in it. Normally I don't like Pulaski in a way. So, yeah, it was nice to see this episode.
Holodeck.
Yeah.
Normally Pulaski drives us nuts, but this episode she was actually good.
I find her reasoning of how Data's mind work was very fascinating. Okay, let's start. The Enterprise, I can't remember in what system they are, but they are rendezvous with the USS Victory. And Geordi has served as an ensign under that captain. So, what did Geordi? Geordi made a replica of the original boat, the USS Victory, to give that to the captain. And I must say, it was a very large one, and a very beautiful one.
I know. We had a boat in our basement. It was a really nice old boat there. It wasn't as big as the Victory, but it was a really nice one. Of course, one day when I forget, it was a satellite guy that came over. He didn't mean to, but he knocked it over and broke one of the masts. Oh,
Okay.
but it was a nice boat, though. I forget the name of it, but still, it was a nice boat. And the boat in the show was nice, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really liked this episode. And, well, the fun part was, Geordi called Data on an emergency, and it was urgent, and Geordi showed him that boat, and Data didn't understand quite what it was. Geordi told him and explained to him why he made it. What was, by the way, a very large boat, to be honest, as the Victory. Geordi told Data, well, this is my pride and joy, this is what I do with my free time. Well, now we're going to do something what you gonna like. And Data was, huh? What do you mean? Then La Forge said, well, let's go to do a Sherlock Holmes novel on the holodeck.
And Data's face just lit right up when he handed them a pipe, too.
Yeah. And
He's
well,
like,
he was
it's like a kid getting excited in a candy store.
Yeah, and he was writing his character as Sherlock Holmes. But this is the first time we see them doing Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
And so they went to the holodeck. Data did a program up, and they were quite amazed how everything looks. It was very detailed. And Data could tell Geordi everything of every subject were there. And at the end, they found the violin of Sherlock Holmes, and Data started to play, and it was very beautiful.
Like, Data knew how to play, but we all know that Brent Spiner probably had somebody else standing in his position playing. with the back turned to the camera, so you couldn't tell if it was Brent playing as Data or someone else playing as Data. So,
well, when Data did that, he really became into the character of Sherlock Holmes. And a short moment after that, the inspector, what's his name? Can't remember what his name is now, but okay.
Oh, I forget his name.
The inspector had a assignment for Holmes and Mr. Watson, or Dr. Watson. And Data, because he memorized every play and every book and scenario of the writer from Sherlock Holmes, he solved the problem right away. And
yeah, like he already knew who it was.
Yeah,
like he solved it within mere seconds.
And Geordi was just writing it down what Data was doing, and then he became frustrated and angry, and he closed the book with a bang, and then he walked off the holodeck. And
yeah, like he's like, oh. And then they both ended up in 10 Forward, where that's where you meet Pulaski again in 10 Forward.
I must say, I really liked Pulaski in this episode. Normally, in the beginning of the season, I don't like Pulaski, but how she was thinking, how Data was working, was very fascinating. And then she put on a challenge on Data. And even Geordi La Forge was thinking, oh, well, good idea, Doctor. I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah, you can't mystify him.
Yeah, and Data was right away in Sherlock Holmes' character and he answered, oh, well, good idea, and I will take the challenge on you. What was really nice to see. So they went back, and Geordi asked the computer to change the story, but it was still in the style of Sherlock Holmes. And let's see what Data make out of it.
Yeah, like make it hard for him so he can't. What was she said? Make something that Data cannot win right away. Make it more challenging for him so he wouldn't, like win within 3 seconds.
Yeah, but that was really
make it stronger.
That was really also later on, because when they went to the holodeck now, it was still a little bit the same, but not totally. And although Data combined his knowledge of Sherlock Holmes together, he could figure it out right away again. But when they went to the arch, and Geordi asked the computer to make the story like that it would defeat Data. We saw for the first time Professor Moriarty, following them. And that is the first time Moriarty noticed the arch and how he could do that. She asked Geordi to keep it more challenging for Data, because I think this was also like maybe like an experiment for her. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's kind of like. Yeah, I think it was kind of like an experiment for her to see if she could challenge his mind more on a harder case.
Yeah.
To see if he could solve this.
More like humanized in a way, because he couldn't anticipate to how we human think and how resourceful we as human are.
Yeah, and how we process things.
Yeah, and well, Data, and that was a little surprising for me again, Data was inviting Pulaski to the holodeck. And this was the first time she went to the holodeck. So we have been a little bit too forward, because the first time they went back with Pulaski, And when Data had a little bit solved that problem, solved the mystery, soon as they come in again, she called him a fraud. And so she said, well, this and this and this is how Data's thinking. And she said something about his, I think about something about the circuits of him, that they can't process the things how we do that as human.
Yeah. Through deduction, I think she said. That's what I think she did.
Yeah, and she said, well, Data has Sherlock Holmes that much memorized that he can't learn and enjoy solving the mystery that Sherlock Holmes have to be solving. So, and that was the moment that they went back to the arch, and Geordi made a fault in his wording with, okay, make a story for Data that Data will be defeated, instead of defeat Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, that's true. He said it that way. He didn't just say, try to make a case that would be impossible for Sherlock Holmes to beat, but he used Data's name instead of Sherlock Holmes' name. So the computer's like, oh, okay, I'll make a case that's really hard for him to solve.
But then we also see that Moriarty is following them. And when La Forge and Data didn't pay attention because there was a decoy, there was a booby trap, Moriarty was kidnapping Dr. Pulaski.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, the bridge were seeing a energy surge. What was strange, Moriarty was, and that was the fault of La Forge, because he said, well, defeat Data instead of defeat Sherlock Holmes. Moriarty became more or less, I don't want to say solid,
alive.
But alive, yeah.
Yeah, more free thinking, more alive, but still a computer, but with more smarts.
Yeah, but with the knowledge of what they had in the computer of Enterprise. And that was the reason that Moriarty could find the arch. And what was very strange, because normally holodeck characters can't do that.
Nope.
We could see that they were in very old London. I thought it was about 1900s what they were.
See about that, yeah.
Data and La Forge went back to the spot where Dr. Pulaski has been kidnapped. And Data was analyzing it right away, and he said, well, I think there are two men, one short, one tall, and one is an employee of the laboratorium. And Johnny was scratching his head, and he was saying, how do you know that? So, once again, of course, they follow the clues to a warehouse. Like a warehouse in the harbor. And, well, there's explanation to La Forge was a very dramatic one. Like, the same how Holmes would do that. While they were walking to the warehouse, the inspector said that they need to come with him because there was a murder. And when they came at the scene, yes, there was somebody murdered, but Data was really saying of, well, it's this and this and this, and but that has nothing to do with the kidnapping of Dr. Pulaski. the inspector said, well, there isn't the doctor is here, because he was referring to Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson, La Forge, told the inspector what happened, what he was thinking what happened. And, but Data, in the meanwhile, Data saw Moriarty disappearing in that warehouse.
And he went to chase him, too, he did.
Yeah.
Him and Geordi.
One thing was really weird, because you see that warehouse, like, old and dusty and crates and whatever else more, and then you come into some kind of a apartment with homey stuff and the laboratorium of Moriarty.
It's a really nice furnished place.
Yeah, and there was a very nice conversation between Geordi and Data. And because this was so unpredictable for Data, it was, you could see that La Forge was very enjoying what's happening, because they really had to go on a hunt. And that is the point also that Professor Moriarty introduced himself, what was in one way a little bit strange, because he was really, and he told them too that he was more evolved and involved, like, because he had that knowledge of the Star Trek, the Enterprise library and computer.
Oh, yeah.
And first of all, they want to know how Dr. Pulaski is. And he says, she's okay. I'm not a savage thief or... At that point, I was thinking, how can a holographic image call for the arch? Because normally, they can't exist out of the hologram, holodeck.
Nope, they cannot. If they try to leave the holodeck, that's bye-bye for them. They cease existing.
And, in a way, Moriarty was threatening them, in a way. And he gave Data a paper with a drawn Enterprise on it.
Yeah, and it kind of freaked Data out. Look, you can see Data's face. He's like, holy shit, how does he know about the Enterprise?
Yeah, and in one way that was really weird, because once again, that was a human reaction of Data.
Yeah, that was a human reaction, and you could see on the look of his face, the reaction was like, holy shite, how did he get this? How did he know what the Enterprise looked like?
And you know that, and I have said it often, Data supposed to be an android, but for an android, he got a lot of human reactions and actions like that.
Well, he has been hanging around humans for a long time too.
Yeah, but he's still a machine, and in that way, Dr. Pulaski was right. So it was very interesting to see how she's getting used to Data, but she's still challenging him now of learning as a human.
He's like a little kid. He's still learning.
Well, everyone is still learning. Data sprinted out of the holodeck. I had never seen him like that. He was really, really freaked out. He went out of the holodeck, and he wanted to override the protocol to shut down the holodeck, and that was denied. So, how can that be denied? It means, and we see that right away, that Moriarty has asked the computer to put all the systems to him. So to holodeck 2. You know right away that they were in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So they went to Captain Picard, and right away they had a meeting about it, and it was very shocking for everyone. And when Geordi knew his mistake in wording to the computer what he wanted on the holodeck, he knew he was wrong. And when the second officers were talking, the ship went shaking. And now we ask ourselves, of course, why did it do that? Well, it was Moriarty who had all the system in his control.
He also, when they go back, you see that he has this thing that is like a switch. He yanks on that sucker and it makes the ship shake. Jeez, I can't talk.
Yeah, like it's some kind of like a boiler room from an old ship.
Yeah, like an old steam engine boiler.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah. He pulled that and it makes the ship shake and shimmy and rattle and roll.
Well, exactly. I think it was Data who says it. He said oh no, that was the computer. The attitude and the stabilization of the ship is in control of Moriarty. And then there was another shock. And Picard said, okay, I need to talk to Moriarty. And so Data said, okay, sir, I will come meet you, but I will change into my uniform. And Picard said, I will have to change because we're not going to scare them off with our uniforms. And I must say, that suit Picard and the high hat Picard was wearing, that was very English. And that is how I think we know Patrick Stewart for it.
Oh, yeah. Very, very English. And he looked so good in the outfit, and so did Worf. But Worf didn't go in the holodeck. He just stood outside and waited to see if they needed help.
Yeah, I was come to that in a minute, yeah. And, it really suits Worf. It was really weird to see a Klingon in an English suit.
I know, but he looks so good in it.
He really looks good at it. Even more better than his uniform. Or his Klingon uniform.
Well, yeah.
This is so weird. We don't see Worf as an English gentleman. This is so weird.
No. You see him more of as a warrior who wants to beat people's butts. But with this, he's more like a perfect English gentleman.
Yeah.
And then Picard, when he taps his big top hat, it goes from small to huge. Worf jumps back like into Klingon mode.
Yeah.
Almost wants to beat the crap out of the hat.
Did you saw Riker's face when Worf came to the holodeck and he said, "Oh, nice suit," but he was jealous. I think he was really jealous.
Yeah, because he probably wanted to be in that suit.
I think in one way he did that in the episode with when they all went back to time and they find a old Moriarty, but they also met Guinan.
Oh yeah, they did that, but there was also another episode where Q showed up, and this girl named Amanda transported him and her to another area, and they were like Regency characters, and they were in suits. Mm-hmm. Well, he was in a suit and in this like baby doll type dress.
That was a really nice scene of Worf in that suit.
Yeah. So, and Data. Data looked good in it.
They went back in the holodeck, and Picard already noticing, well, this is a very different type of London, because you also see that the whole surroundings were changing, and I think Picard was telling, well, Moriarty also have already the environment in command, because you could see that it was damp, it was very foggy and dark.
Oh, dark, damp, smoky. Oh, probably musty.
Yeah, and now there was a really funny scene. Somebody tried to rob Picard, and
that didn't go well for him.
No, and he just only had to say, "Hey, Data," and Data came into action, and he hurted the burglar.
Grabbed him by the hand.
Yeah, and that was the first time they noticed that the safety procedures was off. What was very dangerous.
Yeah. But when Data had his hand and Data was inspecting the guy, and the guy goes, "Oi, Governor! Tell him to let off!" And he's like, "Data, let go of the poor guy."
What was really...
Data's like, oh. Well, Data doesn't know his own strength, too.
No, and that's the funny part of it. But because Data was hurting that burglar, they knew that the safety was off.
Yeah, that was a hint that something's not right. When the holodeck programs can feel something, you know something ain't right when the holodeck program can feel pain.
So then they met Moriarty, and they see Dr. Pulaski, who was very good treated by Moriarty, and I think he was enjoying it too because he had a civil conversation. And by the way, Dr. Pulaski noticed that this Moriarty was a very different Moriarty they knew in Sherlock Holmes, and she noticed it also that Dad was the nemesis factor for Data. He was the one who would defeat Data.
So I think in some of the stories he's depicted as being a ruthless killer or something like that. Like he would just kill like that, but in the holodeck he was being oh so nice and kind to Pulaski. He gave her some tea and crumpets.
Yeah,
and he's like, he said to her, 1 lump or 2? She's like, lumps, Professor? He's like, oh, sugar.
Yeah, and she was also like, it was Moriarty who was really trying to convince them, okay, I'm not that criminal you think I am. I have changed because of the knowledge I have now, and I want to live, and I want to be out there. And there will be still an episode to come that Picard find a way to transport Moriarty and his...
It was his wife.
Yeah, to some kind of Enterprise shuttle so they could travel, but it was some kind of a small holodeck after, something like that. So that episode...
that's where we meet a new character, Reg Barkley.
Yeah.
Also known as Broccoli.
Well, let me tell you guys, the actor who played Lieutenant Barkley,
Dwight Schwartz,
who we also call known as Matt Murdock, of course, from the A-Team.
Yeah.
He was the first Star Trek celebrity I ever met.
Oh.
And he is so nice. I still have a picture of him with his autograph on it. But we have met we talked a little bit. And that was also the moment that I had that was the first time I wore my Dr. Crusher costume, but then in the steampunk version. And he really enjoyed that. And so
awesome.
There was... all of you know that Nico Nichols have passed away a few weeks ago. And luckily I did this to Dwight Schultz, and I couldn't do that to Nisha Nichols because I didn't meet her before she passed away. So what I did to Dave Schultz was I told him that I really loved his characters that he's playing, and I thanked him for doing that, because those are exceptional characters. But I think, well, I could identify myself with his characters, and him playing Lieutenant Barclay and Matt Murdock, that helped me a lot through my youth and teenagers years. So that was very special. Picard talked with Moriarty, and Moriarty said, well, I don't want to die, and Captain Picard said, well, I don't want to kill you. So he saved the program of Moriarty in the holodeck buffer, and Moriarty gave the control back to the Enterprise, so everything was normal again. And Picard promised Moriarty to find a way to keep him and give him life, what we will see in a future episode. Then they were back, and Captain Picard came to La Forge in engineering, and he asked Geordi how the Victory ship was doing, and Geordi said, well, just a mast is broken, and Captain Picard was talking a little bit in old Navy terms, what was really nice to hear. And so they run the full with the USS Victory, was it?
Yes, I think it was USS Victory.
Yeah. That was the end of the episode. Of course, the Victory was there, the captain was on board, etc., etc. It was also nice to see that Captain Picard really loved the ship what Geordi made. This was the end of the episode. Amanda, would you like to add something?
Oh, I loved that episode. It was really, really good. I love the holodeck episode.
Yeah,
I love
really
the holodeck ones.
Yeah, I really loved it too. I even liked Dr. Pulaski.
This episode we did.
Amanda, what is your rating for this episode?
Full on 9 out of 10.
Okay. My rating is like an 8. And
okay. Fair.
Well, it's just, I love the episode, but I know there are some like 2-part episodes that are better than this one, and in a way you could see this as a 2-parter as well, because we're coming back still to that character. And let me see, what is the rating of the IMDb viewers? That rating is an 8.1.
Oh.
So, that's good. That's good for an episode. Yeah. The writing was very good this episode.
Oh, yeah. It was.
And,
I like the fact they were on the holodeck, and I love the costumes on all the ones that had to go on the holodeck.
Yeah, I love that one too, yeah.
Kirk, Data, Geordi, Pulaski's, Worf, even though he didn't get to go in the holodeck, he still got to dress up.
Okay, I'm taking a look on Google now. The original air date was the 5th of December 1988, and it is written by someone I don't really know. It is written by Brian Allen Lane.
I don't know who that is.
But okay,
I was probably 8 years old when that one came out.
Well, the only thing I can say, Amanda, it was nice talking to you again.
Yeah, same here.
And I'm happy that we both loved this episode.
Yeah.
And we guys will see you guys in 2 weeks. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Dear listeners, thank you for listening, and join us in 2 weeks for a new episode recap. In the next episode we recap the episode The Outrageous Okona. Girls Talking Trek is also to listen, follow and subscribe on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, or on your favorite podcast app. We also have a Facebook group and a YouTube channel. Every 10th episode will be a video episode and live streaming, so you guys can talk live with us and see us when we talk about the episode. If you'd like to comment on the episode or talk with us about the Star Trek episode we just recapped, you can reach out on the Facebook group or the YouTube channel. I also like to tell you about my 2 other podcasts called Orinda Talks and Orinda's Book Club, Smooth Jazz, Tea and Books. Orinda Talks is a podcast wherein I talk about books, movies, fandoms and other geek things. On this podcast I also have an extra episode series in which I will talk about everything Star Trek. You can find Orinda Talks on the YouTube channel or the Facebook group. Orinda's Book Club, Smooth Jazz, Tea and Books is a podcast that will discuss books of all genres, except for thrillers and horror. I don't like to read those. My perfect picture while reading a book is in front of a fireplace, loads of tea and smooth jazz in the background. If you'd like to discuss with me or us the books we are reading, you can do that on the Facebook group or the YouTube channel. I also like to organize live reading and live book discussions events, so join me, read with me and discuss with me the books we are reading. We will see you in 2 weeks.